PNC News First is presented by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Pizza Hut, we're taking pizza to where it's never been before. Taco Bell, the only place where you live Moss. Colgate, the #1 brand recommended by dentists. And IT&D.
PNC News First, broadcasting live in high definition from Tumon, Guam, on KEQI and KTGM, and on KPPI on Saipan. Here is your PNC News team.
Hafa and good evening. You're watching PNC News First. We are live from the Broadcast Center at Akanta. I'm Jolene Tovis. Thanks for tuning in. Topping our newscast tonight, to make sure that everyone is properly informed of dengue fever, the Guam Visitors Bureau held a briefing to hospitality industry members earlier today. PNC's Amanda Dedicatoria has more.
Government of Guam officials assure island residents that the dengue fever cases are under control and that their extensive community outreach has benefited their surveillance efforts in identifying and testing suspected cases of the virus. According to Governor Lou Leon Guerrero during a presentation organized by the Guam Visitors Bureau, it's been a week since the last confirmed locally acquired case of dengue fever, and added that the number of cases still stands at 7. During the forum, hundreds of members of the Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association filled the Micronesia Ballroom of the Hilton Guam Resort and Spa, ready to hear updates and gather information about the virus. The panel of experts present at the event included representatives of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, the Department of Public Health and Social Services, Guam Customs and Quarantine, as well as Guam Homeland Security. According to GVB President Pilar Laguatnia, the island has been experiencing record-breaking visitor arrivals and stressed that the tourism industry is fragile, and added that the event was organized in order to properly inform its attendants of the disease.
We are also monitoring our international media, to include our social media, which we have a vast channel to, and we want to keep an eye on that just so we can pick up any indicators. And so far we have only seen a few mentions and have had some inquiries.
Chief Public Health Officer Dr. Susan Kaneshiro says that the island's cases were identified through regular reports from the island's healthcare providers. Out of 49 suspected cases, 11, both imported and locally acquired, are confirmed and involve patients ranging from 11 months to 68 years old. She also added that 6 suspected cases are currently pending. According to Dr. Thane Hancock, an epidemiologist from the U.S. CDC, the key to eliminating dengue fever is to limit exposure to mosquitoes, as well as eradicate their breeding sites.
The cycle of dengue infection is a sick human bit by a mosquito that then is infected and then bites another human, and then that human, while they're sick, might get bit by mosquitoes and spreads on that way. So you can see, if we can break this chain of the mosquito bites, we can stop transmission of dengue.
As for Governor Lou Leon Guerrero, she encourages island residents to stay informed, use insect repellents, and to contact their health provider if they do experience the symptoms of dengue fever.
Every day that we do not have a confirmed case is a good day for us. So thank you, and I want you all to go out there and fight the bite.
Amanda Dedicatoria, PNC News.
If you experience symptoms such as high fever, pain behind the eyes, or severe body pain, please contact your local health provider for an assessment. In other news, the indictment against Mark Torre Jr. involving the shooting death of fellow police officer Albert Piolo will not need to go before a grand jury, as the court has sided with the prosecution in allowing the revision. Aggravated assault as a third-degree felony with a special allegation will not be the only charges Mark Torre Jr. will face at a second trial. His attorney, Jay Areola, had argued in September court hearing that changing the indictment to add negligent homicide will require presenting the charge to a grand jury. Superior Court Judge Michael Berdalio disagreed, siding with the prosecution, which contended that the proposed indictment does not allege any new or different offenses. It simply modifies the degree of the charged offense in the initial indictment, reducing the charges of manslaughter to negligent homicide, with the special allegation as a lesser included. Berdalio further agreed with the AG's argument that Torre's rights will not be prejudiced by this change. The AG cited that a reduction of the charges and change to a lesser included do not substantially change the ability of the defense to offer evidence or prejudice the defendant, pointing out that the Supreme Court did not dismiss the case but instead vacated and remanded it back to the trial court. In the first trial, Torre was found guilty of negligent homicide and third-degree aggravated assault, both with a special allegation of possession or use of a deadly weapon. He was acquitted of murder, manslaughter, and second-degree aggravated assault. Winning his appeal to the Supreme Court, those convictions were overturned and the case returned to the trial court. In response, Areola says, quote, "We are continuing our review of the decision to determine the next steps, including a motion to dismiss the new indictment," end quote. Keeping our eye on crime, a man is behind bars after he met a 13-year-old girl online and carried on a relationship with her, telling police that he thought she was of age. Court documents state that the parents of the minor girl discovered that she was not home in the early morning hours of September 25th. This prompted the parents to call police, who were able to locate the girl. The 13-year-old told police that she was with John Carlos Haas and that they had sexual intercourse that morning. An investigation revealed that Haas had met the girl online in July and had sex with her 3 times. The girl told police that Haas had recorded their sexual interactions on his phone. However, Haas told police that the phone he used to record the acts had fallen into the toilet and was thrown away. The minor told police that the two had lost contact for a brief period but met up again with each other on the 25th and again engaged in sexual acts. Haas told police that he did not film this interaction and only used his new phone as a flashlight. He further told police that the minor had consented to the sex and he assumed she was of age. Haas was charged with first-degree criminal sexual conduct, second-degree criminal sexual conduct. He was booked and confined. Turning our eye to the district court, mediation in the clergy sexual abuse cases have made some progress in the first week of settlement negotiations. This update was provided in the District Court of Guam early this morning during a joint status hearing. Attorney Delia Lujan Wolf reported to the courts that 3 days of mediation was spent with the Capuchins, 1 day was spent with the Sisters of Mercy, and 1 day was with the Boy Scouts of America. Lujan Wolf has settled one of the 2 cases with the Sisters of Mercy. The other case is currently undergoing negotiations. 12 cases involving the Capuchins were settled prior to mediation this week, while additional cases are pending a response. A total of 60 cases represented by the Lujan firm are involved in the mediation process, but there are still 20 cases which are not a part of this round of mediation. Lujan Wolf says these clients have given their sworn testimonies, but they are not ready for mediation, and that the Capuchins will be given notice that there are cases they are liable for. These cases have not been discussed during the mediation. Meanwhile, Capuchin's attorney Vince Camacho represented to the court that all 60 cases involving Berman's clients have been settled, and offers to Lujan Wolf's clients will expire next week. He adds that they are working to get evaluations for the mediations of 20 more cases. Boy Scouts of America attorney Patrick Seville indicated that negotiations with the Lujan law firm have just begun, while 13 cases filed with Berman's firm have been settled. A second round of mediation is expected to occur in November. Meanwhile, it was indicated that former Archbishop Anthony Aparon may take part in the mediation later this year, following his disposition in October. A stay in the litigation cases was granted by District Court Chief Judge Francis Tidinko Gatewood until the next status hearing set for December 6th. It was further noted that the Archdiocese of Agana's bankruptcy mediation involving 275 cases is set to begin at the end of October. In other news, the Guam International Airport Authority is advising the public that effective October 1st, new rules regarding accessible parking spaces will be implemented and strictly enforced. Here's more.
The Airport Authority said new rules and maximum time limits will be implemented to ensure all recognized legal owners of accessible parking placards can avail of parking spaces when visiting the airport. On the departures level, there are a total of 8 accessible parking spaces. The first 3 spaces closest to the terminal will have a 3-hour time limit. The remaining 5 spaces will have a 10-hour time limit. On the arrivals level, there are a total of 12 accessible parking spaces. The first 5 spaces closest to the terminal will have a 3-hour time limit. The remaining 7 spaces will have a 10-hour time limit. Should all accessible parking spaces be filled, individuals with disabilities with legal accessible parking placards may park in the paid public parking lot. They will need to present their accessible parking placards at a toll booth for the fee to be waived. Airport Marketing Administrator Rolanda Fasumalier said the airport engaged multiple agencies before developing the new guidelines.
Now, where did we get these limitations? We engaged in discussions with DISID. We talked to the Attorney General's office, and we looked at the ADA guidelines and regulations, and we found that we are able to impose time limit restrictions. This is going to take a lot of monitoring and control, but we're dedicated and committed to providing those accessible parking to those people who need it.
According to the Airport Authority, only recognized legal owners of accessible parking placards may avail of accessible parking spaces when using this entitlement. This is Luella Lucina for PNC News.
Thanks, Luella, for that report. Well, coming up next on News First, one school steps up to condemn school violence and promote unity. And the first ever tobacco forum discusses the dangers of emerging products. We'll tell you more after the break.